Esports has had a pretty tough year so far for the esports winter and teams going bankrupt. And now we've even seen things in the LCS with players staging a walkout and demanding different things from the league. And this all starts with the LCSPA, which is the LCS Players Association. They have a list of asks for Riot that they want changes for the LCS, saying here to have a Valorant style promotion and relegation, have Riot commit to a revenue pool for player salaries of 300K per challengers team, allow the LCS orgs to partner with affiliates for cost sharing, Riot to guarantee minimum contracts for the following year for the 5 players who win the summer finals, and institute a 3/5 roster continuity rule to provide players on released challengers rosters first priority in maintaining their slots. So from the outside here, not something super crazy, except for maybe this here, where they're saying Riot needs to have a pool of money for Challenger League teams. That would be more on the organizations, I would think, of having them. I know the big thing happened here with Riot saying teams don't need to have a challenge. I think they call them academy teams in the league, but they don't need to field those rosters anymore. And a lot of teams stopped doing that because money's not flowing right now. But to me, that point kind of looks a little weird to say like Riot needs to give pools of money to pay these players when it should be on the orgs and not on Riot because they're operating the league, right? So I don't know about that point really, but also the Valorant style, that's the ideal situation for any league, right? To have relegation, to have real upbringing challengers being able to come in, kick out pro teams that have been sucking, and replace them so that we don't have these leagues where 4 teams compete to win and 4 teams compete to absolutely get destroyed, and then you have a few teams in the middle that just do kind of okay. But in the LCS case, the reason it's different from Valorant is Riot charged people a franchise fee to be part of the LCS. It was like $10 million a slot. So they can't relegate those teams. They can't say, pay us $10 million. 2 years later, oh, you're out of the league. Thanks for the payment. They got to keep him in the league. That's why they paid the money. And other leagues do this too, where they take a franchise fee to be a part of it. And I don't think that's the right model because it does burden the teams with a large payment for a slot. And then you get less competition where teams are willing to pay bare minimums, get whatever players, and then just ride this out for 5 years and sell their spot to somebody else. But in response to the walkout from these players, Riot actually came out and kind of we're trying to make some things happen where teams could field rosters of scab players. Basically just anyone could go up and be a pro player. You can see Riot lift the rank requirements for the LCS.
That Riot is officially suspending the requirements to play in the LCS. So now you can be of any rank and you can play from anywhere. You can play from home even on Thursday if you would like to be a pro player. So you, I, Mark, Phil, we're all eligible to compete in the LCS at this time.
Let me tell
So-
you, I saw Bronze 3 stack that spoke out in solidarity, saying they wouldn't consider being scabs, and they might be regretting that now.
And this move from Riot does make a lot of sense, right? To just say, just get any players, right? Just put on the show so that they can have whatever production and put out a product. But also, it's very difficult to turn this down, right? If you're just a normal, let's even say you're a bronze league player, you know the LCS exists and this opportunity is here, and they say you can come be a pro player for however long. And right now there was fighting between the teams and Riot for what they would pay these players, and it was $2,000. Riot said you have to pay them $2,000 per game that they play. So that's a really good opportunity. That's a lot of money to just go and be a pro player. It wouldn't be a real pro player, but you could say you were a pro league player and make $2,000 to play in a match. That's pretty tough for a lot of people to turn down. Which again prompted the Players Association to come out with a post here, kind of laying everything out, saying, nobody do this. They don't want people to obviously undermine what they're trying to do, and saying don't play for any LCS org as a replacement. The walkout benefits all league players in NA. Crossing line puts all players' futures at risk. But basically just kind of the whole thing of don't do this because it'll undermine what they're trying to do. But also, I mean, that's tough to turn down. If you're just a normal person, someone says, you want to you want to play one game of League of Legends this week, you'll get $2,000 and you can say you were a pro player for a day. I mean, there's got to be a few people who would be willing to say, that they'll just do that and take the money. But ultimately, none of this mattered with the scab players and all of this stuff going on, because the Riot put out a update for the LCS. They put out a whole thing. They responded to every point. But a big thing that they said in here is, if you go down, they talked about they're giving a 2-week period for people to talk about what's going on and try and get everything up to code and get everyone happy and start playing in the LCS again. But if that doesn't happen, then they said that delaying beyond this 2-week window would make it nearly impossible to run a legitimate competition. And in that case, we would be prepared to cancel the entire LCS season. So Riot really dropped the big news here and just said, if you guys can't figure this out, if everything can't be figured out and we can't move on past this, the whole season's canceled, which is a big thing, because obviously that means nobody gets paid, right? I would think it would mean nobody gets paid. Players don't get paid, production doesn't get paid, talent doesn't get paid, nobody gets to do anything, and there's no product at the end of the day. So everybody loses in that situation, except kind of Riot. They can kind of get an upper hand here because it's their league, and the LCS isn't the most popular Riot league, and we'll look at that. But the PA also responded to this. They kind of just said, the one focus is clear, is that players are the LCS. Without players, there's no league. So they kind of talking about this and saying that they're going to have meetings every single day, working this thing out, hashing it out. But at the end of the day, Riot has all the power here, right? Because the LCS isn't the most popular league, and internationally, the LCS is not competitive. NA has never really been competitive in League. I don't watch League. I haven't watched it in a long time, but NA has always never really been top of the charts competitive. And if we look at like the LCS summer from last year, you can see peak viewers 370K, average viewers 115K. You can look at that and say that's not bad, which it's not. If you compare it to other leagues, it's really not that bad. But if you compare it to other Riot League of Legends leagues, it doesn't even stack up. This is the LCK summer 2022. They have 1.3 million peak viewers, averaging 224,000 viewers. So obviously that's they're more popular league, clearly. And without, if this league was staging something, there's probably be a lot more hesitancy from Riot to say just cancel it, as to the LCS, where they'll say, well, not competitive internationally, not a huge viewer base, cancel it if it doesn't work out. So that's probably where they're thinking. But for all of this, hopefully every side can walk away happy or feel like they win. The players can get something. Riot can feel like they won. But at the end of the day, I do think the players are trying to do something good, because this challenger scene, ultimately at the end of the day, if you don't have a good enough challenger scene where you can have people rise up the ranks, come to this scene, prove themselves, get into a pro team and actually compete up there, and then make a lot of money up there and win and all this stuff, then you don't have a long-term league, right? If the Challengers League doesn't exist, eventually you run out of players and the league doesn't function. So it is a good thing they're trying to do, that they're trying to keep this thing going, because you need the Challengers League. You need new players to come in and come up, and without that, the entire league falls apart and you don't have anything then. It'll be interesting to see if Riot actually pulls through, and if at the end of these 2 weeks they don't come to an agreement and Riot does cancel everything. That would be an insane move. Or if they can get some sort of concessions and actually bring up the Challengers League again. So we'll see how it all plays out. I guess we got 2 weeks to see, but that's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.